For a science that has survived 5,000 years, Ayurveda still gets judged and questions. For some people, Ayurveda is outdated, some say it is kitchen remedies, and some say it is Dadi Ma ke nuske. So, to bust this myth one by one, we have with us Dr. Nilesh Korde, Principal of Gomantak Ayurved Mahavidyalaya, who is with us on Secrets of Healing. Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
Welcome to Secrets of Healing. You have practiced for 30 years. Now, I think this is more than 30 years that you are in the field of Ayurveda. You started your career as a HOD of Sharira Rachana in Gomantak Ayurved, just as you had passed out from your graduation. And after that, you started your career, and now you are the principal of the college. So,
Yeah.
how do you feel?
It just seems that time has passed by very fast. I just remember the days you were a part of the college.
Yes, and
As
I'm
such.
so proud of being your student, one of your first students,
Yeah.
and it has been a lovely journey.
Yes, indeed, yes.
So you have traveled all over the world,
Mhm.
and you have been to most of the countries, like especially in UK, you have been, not only as a visitor, but you have promoted Ayurveda over there, including New York, Geneva, and you have been in contact with most of the Westerners. You know their mindset, and you have treated them. So, for this particular topic, like misconceptions that are surrounding Ayurveda, you know, I don't think there can be anyone better than you who could bust this misconceptions one by one.
I'll try my level best to see what I.
Okay. So to begin with, I would like to first pose the question which Ayurveda has always faced, that Ayurveda is unscientific.
Yeah, that's the question very often everybody posts for Ayurveda, that it is not scientific. For that, we need to go back and find out what is science and when did it origin. If you look at Ayurveda, the origin is about more than 5,000 years back and prior to that as well. Science, what we can put within the framework of the four walls of the laboratory and try and prove a concept, whether it is right or wrong, that is what you call as science today. Uh, Ayurveda did not use a laboratory for that purpose. If you look at the way it has been designed, at the same time, how wonderfully they have been able to select herbs and try out their medicinal properties and quote them. Based on what? Based on the ancient Indian philosophy. The philosophical background that it has got has stood times, and even today it is applicable. You must be experiencing it in day-to-day life as
Yes,
such.
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
So what's the most amazing is how could they identify that out of 2 lakhs of plants that are existing on this earth, only 120 have been used regularly, just 120, if you can well imagine that.
Right.
Yeah. Plus about 360 non-detailed drugs, which compose the herbal medicine part of it. How could they identify that the leaf of a particular plant acts in a particular fashion with its juice when mixed with water, when mixed with honey, when mixed with milk, or the root bark, the individual qualities when science was not even formed? And if you try and apply the same concepts today, you see the results. Like example, tulsi juice, when you macerate tulsi and give it with water, it works as an expectorant, it brings out the
Right.
mucus. But the same
Diaphoretic.
tulsi juice, when you macerate it with honey, it dries up the cough from inside. Now,
Right.
these two are different concepts as such, but they have evolved so fantastically because it needs a lot of proof, and this has been mentioned in the books as such. So, if you look at the documentation part of Ayurveda, documentation of Ayurveda took place only after a thorough research. It hasn't just been haphazardly noted down anywhere.
Right.
We have so many such traditional practitioners who use different forms of medication. Maybe for us to understand the difference between traditional practice and Ayurveda, there's a big, vast difference in that. Ayurveda has got principles of working. Traditional medicine is just something that has been handed down from one generation to the other.
Right. I think the modern world is getting confused between the traditional medicines and the Ayurvedic
Yeah. Folk medicine and
folk medicines and the
Ayurveda are
Ayurveda.
totally different concepts that
Right.
we have as such.
But one good thing I would appreciate about Ayurvedic Vaidyas and the science is that we are open to all the pathies, we are open to all the sciences, and that is why I think we are growing. So,
Yes. Now, to continue it from where I've left, uh, the study was based totally on finding results, and after the results were thoroughly discussed by a compendium of people, by a group of people who are experts in that. Only then it was finally documented and written down in the form of a treatise. And that is why over 5,000 years, we have never been able to change that word.
yes.
I mean, it's like if you know the
Right.
Bible or you know the Quran or you know the Gita, we haven't been able to change a single word out of that
Right.
because that has come out of absolute truth. And
Right.
that is what Ayurveda is. It's the absolute truth. Science has just originated now, and we are trying to figure out ways and means to push Ayurveda into those scientific parameters as such, wherein science is yet to develop to that level of research which talks about the soul and the being as such.
Right. Exactly. And what is important now is to how to convey it to others.
Yes.
Yeah, because most of the time there are so many thoughts that are surrounding Ayurveda, and another one which I would like principally you to address is that most of the people think Ayurveda has got no side effects, and this is the most dangerous one because Jao or medicine now it is Ayurvedic. You can take it in any
Yes.
dosage,
Anybody and
anybody
anyone
and
can take
anyhow.
it.
So that is another thing that I
Yeah.
want you to explain.
Now, that's the biggest gimmick which the marketing agencies
Right.
use, that this is Ayurvedic medicine, it has got no side effects, and it can be used by anybody and
Right.
everybody.
Yes.
But if you want to understand Ayurveda very deeply, understand it that it is a personalized form of medicine.
Right.
It is individualized. It is not a generalized form of medicine. Like paracetamol, which I take the name today, can be taken by anybody and everybody. That is a concept that they have floated. For me, I would have to understand the fever which the person is undergoing, what type of fever he's got, whether it is because of his cold or whether it is because of an infection that is taking place. So all these parameters are,
Whether it is weather.
whether it is a change in weather,
Yes.
whether it's an indigestion that is causing it, I take that into understanding, and based on that, I formulate the medication depending upon the constitution of the person. For a Pitta Prakriti person, I will have to use a medicine called as Sutta Shekhar. For a Kapha Prakriti person, I will have to use a medicine like Tribhuvan Kirti. I mean, I'm just taking these names of classical medicines, but one dose doesn't fit everyone. If you understood this concept, then it is very clear that Ayurvedic medicine has certainly got side effects.
Right.
Yeah.
If taken in a wrong
If
manner.
taken in the wrong dosage, if taken by the wrong person. It's not only about the dosage, if taken by the wrong person. And that is why it is absolutely essential to go to an Ayurveda physician, understand his basic constitution, and based on that, get a formula that is made individualized.
Right.
Yeah. So it has effects and side effects. And as I said, side effect is something that is not necessarily a desirable effect of a particular medicine. Now, there are positive as well as negative side effects. The positive side effects, when you consider, is an effect that is produced by the drug when it, along with the main effect, it will also give us side effects. Let me explain to you very simply. Now, whenever we have cold, we use ginger juice. Now, ginger juice, when used individually, definitely reduces the cold. But if you understand yourself and try and see that along with cold, you also have indigestion, your appetite is lost, your taste is lost. So, when a situation like this happens and you use ginger, one effect is that your cold will be reduced, but simultaneously the side effect is going to rekindle your digestive fires or digestive capacities. That is called as a positive side effect. That is the effect that is noted amongst most of the Ayurveda medicines as such. But when you go over the counter and try to medicate yourself. That is something that's very,
Yeah.
very dangerous.
I think because people mostly think that Ayurveda is herbal.
Yes.
That is another misconception.
Yes.
People think that it is herbal, it can be taken anytime, anyhow, just like a sabzi.
Yes.
So that is another reason
Everybody can eat it.
everybody can take it.
Yeah.
Like I can give you one example which you can comment on. Like my mother, they keep on reading these articles that are come on the newspaper, and she read somewhere that neem juice is to be taken every morning. And she started making neem juice, and she started taking. Now, as a typical Indian homemaker, some juice is to remain. So she used to gulp that down also. So most of the time she used to take half a cup of neem juice every morning, and which I was not aware of. I was a student of Ayurveda, but I was not aware of it. And after a period of time, she lost weight. She became so shrill and frayed. So we just couldn't understand why this is happening. And then when we went on the history, we how what her diet was, we found out that she was taking more neem juice. Actually, neem juice is good for health, but because the dosage has changed, it had a side effect on her.
Yes.
So, so this is another, that because it is herbal, you can take more.
Yeah,
of
everybody
it.
feels that I can
Yeah.
do anything with it, I can play with it, and I can very well carry myself
Yes.
along with that.
Yes.
The concept of only having herbal medications in Ayurveda was until the 12th century, as such.
Right.
After the 12th century, when Indian alchemy came into existence, we have added minerals as well to the entire apothecary of Ayurveda medicines as such. And that has actually revolutionized the medicine as such. We need to understand again the side effects from both aspects.
Right.
There is one more thing that your people will say, that you use bhasmas.
Right. This is one thing I want you to address, because bhasmas are always accused of having, toxicity.
Heavy metals.
Heavy metal toxicity. So that is one thing people don't understand, like the shodhan karma and all that. So can you put a light on the bhasmas and the minerals that we use in Ayurveda?
Yes. Now, there are two sides of the coin. One, the allopathy claims it based on, or the modern science claims it based on the studies that they've performed on perhaps one individual they've come across on it, or about 10 individuals. Not everybody is getting tested for heavy metals every time, but the side effects are seen. The reasons being, one, if the medication is not properly prepared and the end product of the bhasma is not actually achieved, that is when a side effect like this is shown, wherein it remains inside the body and shows toxicity as such. But if you have to understand the concept of bhasma, bhasma is something that you will convert a metal into ash, or an element into ash. Now, when you convert that element into ash, its solid structure, which we use only water to test it basically, very simple and easy. If you put a plate of copper into the water, it sinks down. But copper bhasma, if you use, or the calx of copper, it will float in water. Now, the moment everybody talks about metals, gold, platinum, etc., that is used in Ayurveda, it is not used directly like the modern medicine does. That is when the toxicity is seen much. Even in modern science, they use platinum, they use gold, they use copper. Yeah? Ayurveda doesn't use it like that. Ayurveda uses it into the most convertive form, converting it into nano-sized particles, which can travel to the smallest corner of your body, or the smallest cell of your body, and not remain inside the cell. After being utilized, it will be either thrown out of the body or gets absorbed inside the body as such. So that is the pattern in which the direction of absorption of medicine is seen in Ayurveda. Unlike using a raw element like gold and trying to see its side effects, Ayurveda has never done it like that. But there is a caution that it has to be used in the required dose and it has to be prepared correctly. The final conversion of the calx must be seen as such. You cannot keep it half cooked or half baked as such.
Right. With this, we come to the standardization of the Ayurvedic medicine, because this is one thing, even the modern doctors are cautioning the patients about, like the standardization. like whether Ayurvedic medicine, which are the classical preparation, do they have the standardized formula, or or does their potency and actions and effects change every time?
The quantity of medications to be used or in the formula has already been mentioned in the text, and it has been time tested. What is it that causes the change? It's not the minerals inside the medicine that cause the change. It is the herb itself. If you look at herbs from different parts of the country, now India is such a vast country.
Right.
Let us take, for example, a drug like Punarnava. Punarnava or Bohevia diffusa, which is grown in Goa, which is grown in Belgaum, which is grown in Kolhapur, which are the nearby nearby places of Goa, and which is grown in Pune.
Right.
We'll just take these 4 regions as such. If you analyze this Punarnava, you will find different forms of alkaloids in each of the samples that you take. So the drug which you choose has to be based on the region where it is.
Right.
So uniformity cannot be maintained in plants. Each plant has got its, based on the geographical location it is in, will
Right.
absorb the minerals from the earth and be exposed to the elements of the earth,
Right.
elements around, and based on that their alkaloids will be formed in different standards of measures as such. Now when you have that happening, you cannot standardize.
Right.
Because the herb is important, you don't know the source.
Yeah, but
right
to
from
survive,
Kashmir to Kanyakumari,
Right.
the sources will be different
Right.
as such, of the same drug. As such.
But to survive in this modern market, like with Ayurvedic medicines, like even for some medicines, even the color changes because
Yes.
of the herbal composition.
Because of the herbal composition. Yeah.
So it is very difficult for us to, for the Ayurvedic medicines to survive this kind of competency, because the standardization is modern.
Yes.
And our preparations are Ayurvedic.
And absolutely based on the ancient
So
ways.
don't you think that we should have our own standards and stick to it, rather than getting into competition with the modern standards?
Yes, rather than following the chemical analysis
Yes.
of a particular drug, we could just stick to what are the the qualities of the end products that have been mentioned into the text. See, earlier we never had commercialization of medication as such. Commercialization of medication has been whatever is happening today, wherein we market. Earlier, the physician would collect the herbs,
Right.
prepare the medicines himself, and give it to the patient who requires it. It was not one formula that was made for all as such. So that was in that era. But how do we fit it into this era now, wherein we make it? So we need to have basic standards of raw material, standardization of raw materials first, and that happens from factory to factory, wherein they see the batches that collect and standardize it as such. Now, if you're going to try and place it within the modern parameters and say it has to have compulsory these many alkaloids in that, and you try to isolate the alkaloids and put it in, it doesn't work that way. It is basically the synergistic effect of all the alkaloids that are present inside, which brings in the effect of the main alkaloid without showing a side effect.
Right.
Like Reserpine from Rauwolfia serpentina was isolated, and we started using it for hypertension.
Right.
But what happened eventually? We saw that it showed a lot of side effects like psychosis or drug-induced sleep and all those things. Whereas when you use Sarpagandha or Rauwolfia serpentina as a root and macerate it with milk and there are no side effects that are seen at all. So there are so many more avenues to do research and try and bring it to the standardized form. This standardization is just a story of last 50 years.
Right.
And a science as vast, with a history as vast as 5,000 years. You cannot hope to standardize that science within 20 years or 30 years.
Yes.
It is an impossible task.
Right, I agree to that. And also, when you talk about Sarpagandha, just now you mentioned about how it is prepared. And that is also another thing, like having it in a combination. Like mostly we give it with Jatamausi.
Yes.
Okay. So again, then we have these different kalpas which acts as an antidote for some, some side effects of some herbs. So this kalpa, what you say, the idea of kalpas that is given in the Ayurvedic text, that also is questioned now.
Yes.
Like it is the masala recipes.
It is the masala
So you have
recipe.
so much of masala in your formulation that one is going to work. That kind of a kind of a little bit of offbeat accusation our Ayurvedic medicines have. So can you explain about these kalpas and why they should not be compared to masala recipes?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question, in fact, Well, if you see when formulations were made, when you read Charaka, you will know the 50 ganas that have been
Yes.
given. Yes? And these are actually a collection of drugs having similar effects, which enhances the potency of the drug so that you have got to use it in smaller quantities as such. There are also various other medications that are included, and sometimes we do not know why that has been included, though they have opposite qualities. Their gunas or the qualities are opposite. We have yet to study that. But it is not a masala combination. Each drug has a role to play, and we are yet to analyze that. What is the role that it has played into forming the particular formulation?
Right.
Without analyzing it, you cannot accuse it. That's unfair.
Right.
That's absolutely unfair.
Right.
You analyze, you understand. Go back to the principles of what Ayurveda has said into making these combinations. And based on that, see whether it has worked in a particular disease condition. If it has worked in a particular disease condition, try and separate the combination. Put an individual drug and see what is the efficacy of that. And based on that, you formulate. But it is good. If Ayurveda has taken 5,000 years to, formulate all those things, you can imagine how long it is going for us to, individually make a formula and put it together and try and test it on a human being and see what the results are.
Like for example, we have this our famous combination kalpa is Triphala. So Triphala individually, all three ingredients have different action and benefits.
Different actions, yes.
And together they have a different action.
Different action.
So this is the most simple example I could think of.
Yes, we haven't been able
Even
to change Triphala even
right.
today. Yeah, what formulation was put forth 5,000 years back hasn't been, one iota of that hasn't been able to
and
be
it is
changed.
amazing, like Triphala can be had in several ways.
In several ways.
In several ways. Like you can have it with ghee and it has a different effect.
Yes.
You can just have water, Triphala in water, it has a different, it is good for constipation, it is also good for diarrhea, dysentery. So, massive spectrum of benefits.
Basically, that's something absolutely stunning. You can't imagine this. That one drug, and it can be used in so many different conditions. You can imagine the study that has gone behind that.
Yes.
It's you're just applying the study now. With honey, the effect is different. With milk, the effect it's not given with milk, but the water is different. With cold water, it's different. With hot water, it's different. With buttermilk, it is different. With the supernatant liquid of curds, it is different.
With ghee, it is different.
With ghee, it is different. So, how much of study must have gone into putting this formulation together, testing it with different anupana, it is called as, or an adjuvant to the drug as such. And what are the results of that? Yeah, but it's not only used as a medicine, it is used as a tonic as well. On the eyes, it works differently. On the gut, it works differently. On the hair, it works. So point out some
and
drug
internally
in
also you can, it is good for hair, and also it is good for hair for washing.
Yes.
You can use it like a hair wash.
Like an hair wash.
Like an eye wash.
Like an eye wash. Or used as an antiseptic to clean wounds.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that is exactly what we are coming to. The beauty of Ayurveda cannot be measured into the walls. It needs a vaster and a bigger form of intellect and a higher form of intellect to actually understand the concepts. And unless the concepts are well formed, you'll never be able to analyze it. And it is going to be an impossible task to fit it within the parameters of what modern people call as research.
So, I don't know whether you remember, I was one of your first students in Ayurvedic college. And as a student, we were questioned endlessly by others, and we also had half-baked knowledge that time. So one day I came to you and said, sir, do you think Ayurveda is vegetarian? Because if the entire world is saying, Ayurvedic medicine lena hai, to veg khana padega. So instantly you told me, Lakshmi, what are you going to advise those people staying in Tundra region? Are they going to get veggies there? And that stuck me and remained with me for my lifetime. And I want the viewers to know from you, the thought behind it and what exactly Ayurveda advises
Yeah,
on
that's
vegetarian,
on being vegetarian or vegan for that
or
matter.
vegan for that matter.
Yeah, that's the fad which is the latest
Yeah,
today,
yeah.
is being vegan. Uh, as I have learned it from the books, and this is not me saying it, it's my books who say it, and there is no mention of being purely vegetarian in Ayurveda at all. As such, in fact, the way food has been classified is so marvelous, absolutely,
Right.
that food has not been classified on the basic terms of proteins, carbohydrates, minerals, vitamins, and etc., fats, etc.
Right.
But food has been classified based on what qualities that food is going to imbibe on your body. And the people who are chosen to eat a particular food depend upon their constitution as such.
Right. The
So
prakriti.
the prakriti. The people are advised basically what to eat and what not to eat. Now, being vegetarian or non-vegetarian is by your genetic composition as such. People who have not eaten meat for generations together, if those genes are exposed to meat eating now in this time, because it contains a higher form of protein, then there are adverse effects of that food that are seen, because the person has to actually create new enzymes to digest that, which his genes do not have the capacity of. So the food of Ayurveda has been based on your genetic composition and your geographical location. That is how diet has been based. Now, the modern way of classifying meats is only two forms, red meat and white meat. Whereas Ayurveda will give you different qualities or gunas for meat of pork, beef, buffalo milk, venison, veal, chicken, turkey. Every animal will show its qualities based on their meat.
Right.
As such.
Right.
So you
Even-
cannot say
even
pork,
camel-
even camel
camel.
meat. Yeah. So pork and mutton or goat's meat, and though both of them are red, show different qualities. I have seen people who eat continuously pork have got such thick skin and fat under that you cannot pinch it. You can look at my skin over here, which is so thin I can pull it up as such, because there's less of fat in that as such. But the same way I have seen people who eat goat's meat also have similarly thin skins and they have strong stamina. They wouldn't have put on weight. They don't have fat deposited in their bodies as such. So these subtle changes that have been said in Ayurveda mark that the study is much more subtler than looking at it at a gross level. So Ayurveda by no ways is vegetarian.
Like, I think there are some ailments wherein chicken soup, chicken soup is very good for lungs.
Yes.
Chicken soup with pepper.
Yeah.
That's a good news for non-veg people.
Yeah.
And also in Raj Yakshma,
Yeah. The
goat's
leg
meat,
soup,
yes,
paya.
paya is advised.
Paya is advised.
Goat's meat is
Yes.
advised. So
that's an absolute misconception.
right.
Yes.
So though vegetarian is good, I think we can
Vegetarianism is good today because we do not burn those amounts of calories which we consume. So eat less amount of those kind of calories, and plant-based food is lighter for digestion rather than animal-based food.
And there is a spiritual aspect also for that.
Yes.
That
is absolutely
it is not
the
a
truth.
sattvic food.
Yeah, it is not said to be the sattvic food. The concept of mind, which has evolved with Ayurveda, which is in vogue in the last 30-40 years when World Health Organization found it out, that's when they've come across it. But what effects the food has on the mind, Ayurveda has said about it long back. A small example I'll quote for this before we wind up on other things as such. Yeah? If you want to murder a person, will the murderer consume a glass of milk and commit the act? or would he go and consume some alcohol with some meat? That
Right.
itself gives you very subtly
Well
what
said.
is required to have an aggressive mind, and what is required, or what food if affects
Right.
the sattva of the mind as such.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it all depends on what goes inside.
Exactly. So, there are so many more questions that I would like to ask, but there is one important one, and which is very relevant now, is about the surgery in Ayurveda. Okay, whether there is surgery or not, and many of them are saying that Ayurveda should not get into surgery, mostly because they don't have methods of anesthesia. They have to depend on the modern medicines for it, and that not most of the surgeries are not very precise and developed.
We had a guru called as Dr. R.B. Gopte
Hmm.
in Pune. He would hold the Bailey and Love, which is the Bible of surgery, and he would hold Sushruta Samhita together.
Hmm.
In fact, all the steps that have been said in taking an incision have been taken from Sushruta. All the instruments that have been designed so far, which were in use so far, now technology has advanced and we've started using for refined forms of instruments as such. But the design of the instruments, right from having a forceps to a scissors, all that, all those designs have been mentioned in the texts of Ayurveda. The various methods of rhinoplasty, as you know, in plastic surgery, that has been taken from Ayurveda. Opening of the cranium and the cranial vault, of cataract surgeries, fine surgeries, abdominal openings, all these have been mentioned in Ayurveda, though not very much practiced as such. So, if you want to put a label to that and say surgery doesn't belong to Ayurveda, I refuse to accept this as such.
Anorectal surgery, if you can.
Yeah, anorectal surgery, which is still
Still
in vogue
relevant.
today and works with so much of beauty
Yes.
and precision that there are no side effects of the surgery that have been conducted. Whereas when you do an operation of pile, the patient is a sufferer for a lifetime. But when you do Kshara Sutra,
Yeah.
which is one of the techniques of Ayurveda, you can see that the patient has a much more comfortable life. And it's very, very nice to know that quite a lot of modern physicians or modern surgeons are looking at the technique.
Right.
It's not
Especially
only in
fistula
India,
also.
especially in fistula, and
Right.
not only in India but in England as well, where I've come. Second thing to that is usage of leeches as such.
Yes.
Earlier it was banned everywhere else in the world, but now in the places I see, in UK especially, there is a lot of awareness that has been got about leeches. There are leech farms that have been made and set up as such. So slowly we are moving backwards to the older techniques as such. Only refinement of anesthesia and refinement of surgical techniques by the usage of robotics and everything else that can be made today. That is refinement in technology, not in the technique.
Right.
Yeah, so surgery was an essential part of Ayurveda because we had two different schools, the school of medicine and the school of surgery, which has come from ancient time, which was much, much, much before allopathy came into existence.
Right.
Yeah, so surgery is a certain part of certainly a part of Ayurveda, but what practices that we do today are limited more to anorectal. Some practices that we do today are called as parasurgical techniques. That is, we do bloodletting. Whenever we see, you do leech therapies and various other ways of releasing blood, and quite other few methods in which you can suture as well, because all the suturing techniques that are also seen today have been mentioned in the text. So you can imagine at that time how refined it was, that the knowledge is still used today.
Right.
Surgery is a part of Ayurveda. The refinement will come henceforth. It is dependent on the modern day generation.
Yes. It is dependent on all of us.
Yes.
Right. It was wonderful to have you on Secrets of Healing, and as usual, as I've always enjoyed talking to you, this was one of the best conversations that I've had in recent times.
Yes.
And that's it for today's episode. I hope we are able to peel off the myths one by one. And Ayurveda is not only about the ancient text and science and limited to books, but it is all about you, your balance, your body, your emotions, and your rhythm in your life. If you like this information, kindly subscribe to Secrets of Healing, your guide to modern living through ancient wisdom. So stay tuned and thank you.